I do right now, though, want to bring in Bill Ackman on the phone. He took to Twitter today to urge the president to take more dramatic measures to stop the spread of the virus. Bill, I thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Scott.
A number of ideas you put forth. I'm going to read one of them for our viewers to start. Mr. President, the only answer is to shut down the country for the next 30 days and close the borders, you say. Tell all Americans that you are putting us on an extended spring break at home with family, keeping only essential services open. The government pays wages until we reopen. I know from our conversations that you have been worried for some time. How did it manifest today with these tweets and going public?
Maybe just a little bit of context. You know, I'm an optimist, but beginning in, late January, I was getting increasingly bearish, and I woke up with a nightmare. And my nightmare was you have this virus that replicates and infects incredibly rapidly. You know, each person infects 2.5 people, each of whom infect 2.5 people. You know, 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 16, 16, 256, 65,000. You get to just massive, massive numbers. I'm watching this thing roll out in China. It kills, 1 to 2% of the people. In China, the number's been closer to 4. People think that's because the health system's been overwhelmed, but 1 to 2% means friends and family are going to die. The concentration was, the effect were sort of older people with lung or cardiac conditions. I have a father who's almost 81. He had lung cancer. He lost 2/3 of his lung capacity as a result of surgery. He's got some health issues, and you have a virus. The other thing that really scared me is, unlike the flu, where when you're sick, you know you have it, here you go as much as 2 weeks without showing any symptoms, or maybe a little bit of a cold. Meanwhile, you're incredibly infectious. And I thought the combination of that, the fact that the virus lives on surfaces for as much as 9 days, if we believe what we're reading, means this thing can spread everywhere. And when China shut down Wuhan, they told people, 12 hours from now, we're going to shut down Wuhan. Well, what happened? 5 million people left Wuhan. And 5 million people dispersed around China, and 5 million people dispersed around the world. And it seeded the virus. And I think people are just not used to thinking about exponential compounding on a daily basis. In the beginning, you don't see anything. And I think the fact people press reports that it only killed old people, it only killed sick people, I think it made most of the country not particularly concerned. I think the fact that 99% of the people lived made most of the people not concerned. The fact that it was in China and it was like far away, and Chinese have unusual dietary habits. They eat some things we don't eat. I just think all of these things made people not take it seriously. But when I did the math, I said, the laws of probability tell me this thing is going to be everywhere. Everyone, 50% of the world is going to get infected. And I sort of rolled this thing forward, and I said, it's just a matter of time.
Do you take comfort in some of the steps that have been taken? It certainly appears as though our response now from a federal level is much better than it was initially. I think we can all admit and take comfort that it is ramped up now. What about the steps that have been taken? The city in which you live is considering a shelter-at-home declaration.
I think Governor Cuomo has done a superb job, and I think the White House, the president, the vice president are finally taking a lot of the necessary steps, but it's not enough. And the reason why it's not enough is the only way. What's going to happen if we continue the way we are operating is until a vaccine is manufactured, distributed, and injected, we will go through a depression-era period in the country, and millions of people will die around the globe, and as many as 1 million Americans are going to die. And it's just math, okay? And the problem is, if you lock down New York, what will happen is Governor Cuomo will say, okay, we're locking down New York. There was a rumor of that. So what did everyone do? Everyone got out of New York. Okay, went somewhere else because no one wants to be locked down, and they spread the virus. And they're not doing it, to cause anyone harm. They just don't even know that they're infected. And by the way, you look at the data from Korea, there's some very interesting evidence that suggests that people from 20 to 30 are the massive spreaders. The so-called R0, the reproduction number of the virus, I think is much higher, particularly in that group of people. So you have a group of people that are 20 to 30, the millennials, they're going out, they're having fun, they don't feel sick, not afraid of anything, and they are spreading this everywhere. And by the way, when the colleges shut down, they all go on spring break, and they spread it everywhere. And so I think there's a very high probability that millions of Americans have the virus. And I'll give you some interesting, anecdotal data points. So we took very aggressive measures at Pershing Square, because I was obviously very bearish on this. On February 27th, I told the firm that we're going to work from home. We have a small firm. We've got 50 people. We already have 2 people. Again, we've been working from home for 3 weeks. We have 2 people out of 50 that are likely to have the coronavirus based on their symptoms. We're waiting for outcomes in one case for a test. The other one is not can't get a test, or we're in a place where it's more difficult for them to get a test. But that's kind of 4% of our company taking aggressive measures. So it's incredibly widespread. It's deadly, and as we heard on the president's announcement, and this is if you actually follow Twitter, this was out a few days ago. It's killing young people. It's killing healthy people, right? And I think if originally what happened, if this broke out in New York and it was killing babies, okay, the country would not have taken the approach it has taken, okay? But that is the approach that we have to take. Assume it's going to kill your child, okay? Let's assume it's got a 1 in 50 chance of killing your child and operate accordingly. So the very simple answer is, and by the way, it's happening. The mental model I used is by February, Chinatown, in my view, was a microcosm for the country. What happened in Chinatown? Well, the one thing people did is they stopped going to Chinatown because they were afraid of, maybe people coming home from China and they didn't want to eat Chinese food. Okay, so Chinatown, restaurant revenues went down 50, 60, 70, 80%. And what happens? Well, the busboy loses his job. The guy doing dishes, the waiters lose their job. The number 2 chef, the chef, the owner has to shut the place. The suppliers stop, providing supplies, right? The banks that lend to that community start getting defaulted on loans. Every landlord in China has gotten a call from their tenant who says, I'm sorry, I can't pay rent. I have no revenues coming in. And I said, look, this is a model for the country. And that's happening now, right? The canary in the coal mine, and by the way, it's not just, and the other thing that happens, of course, the entrepreneur that owns 10 Chinese restaurants in Chinatown, okay, he's also devastated. So it starts with the bottom, and it works its way through to the top, okay? And the same thing's happening right now in our country, right? It starts with the guy who owns a Embassy Suites hotel, okay? He's wiped out, right? You've got, when you go from 80% occupied to 0, okay, you're toast. You go down to 50%, you're toast, but you're certainly toast when you go to 0. So he defaults. But now, take a look at Hilton stock. We're a major shareholder of Hilton. Hilton is the canary in the coal mine. This is an incredibly well-capitalized, amazing, dominant global company that actually doesn't own many hotels. It just collects royalties. It's down from like 120 to 50. Okay, it's going to 0. Okay, along with every other hotel company in the world. Park Hotels and Resorts. This, stock's down from 33 to 4. This is a spinoff from Hilton. Why is it down from 33 to 4? Because every hotel is going to be shut down in the country. Every one.
Hang on just 1 second. You say Hilton is going to 0? I mean...
Oh, no, again, I'm a major shareholder. What I'm saying is if we allow this to continue the way we allow it to continue, okay, every hotel company in the world, okay, is done. Okay, because no business can survive a period of 18 months without revenue. Okay? And that's, stick with me, and that's what happens, okay, if you operate the way we're operating now. Okay? Now, let me give you, so that's a very, very bearish thought, okay? And I've been super bearish, but I got bullish, okay? And the reason why I got bullish, and I've been aggressively buying stocks, including Hilton, today, okay? And I've been buying all the way down, Hilton, restaurant brands, Starbucks, walk your way through the only stocks I'm not buying are companies who are on the board and I'm restricted. But the reason why is the only answer for the world is to shut the world for 30 days. Okay, it's so simple, okay? And it's happening. It's happening slowly on a rolling basis, country by country. But if you take the model from China, what do we learn from China? The thing got out of control. They had no warning. Okay, but the Chinese took incredibly aggressive measures, and they shut the economy. They absolutely shut the economy. In Wuhan, they shut the economy anywhere there was a virus, and they shut the economy for weeks, and then they're gradually reopening the economy. And the Chinese are incredibly disciplined. They wear masks. They practice social distancing, And President Xi is now toggling between controlling the spread of the virus and reopening the economy. Okay, and that can work. And you look at how South Korea has handled this and how Singapore has handled this. But you need a global effort where every country in the world at the same time says, for the next 30 days, it's basically spend time with your family. My Twitter feed, last time I tweeted was probably a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I said, President, all that has to happen is the president goes on TV. By the way, he doesn't need anyone else by his side. He goes on TV, he sits down with, in front of the American people, and he says, here's what we need to do to defeat the virus. We got an invisible, silent, deadly enemy. Okay, how do we kill it? Everyone just goes home. You sit on the couch. Just stick with me for a second. You sit on the couch. You watch Netflix. You order in Chipotle, and you stay there for a month, and you spend time with your loved ones. Okay, and the virus will die. Okay, and during that period of time, the federal government steps in and supports every American that needs help. Okay, we have a rent holiday. No one needs to collect any rent. No one needs to collect any interest. No one needs to collect any taxes. The government, mails checks to people so that people can pay for food. You keep grocery stores open. You keep the drug stores open. You keep fast food open because people get tired of mom's cooking after a couple of weeks. And then anyone who's out in the public domain wears masks, minimizes interactions, and in a month we're done with this. And by the way, the country survives, the economy survives. If we do this, we're just incrementally over time until there's a vaccine, we're done. Okay, and what will happen is, the hotel industry and the restaurant industry will go bankrupt first. Boeing is, on the brink. Okay, Boeing will not survive without a government bailout. Okay, so look at airline industry, auto industry, restaurant industry, hotel industry. Capitalism does not work in an 18-month shutdown. Capitalism can work in a 30-day shutdown. And we got to do the 30-day shutdown. And if the president has to bring out the National Guard to keep people in their homes, which I don't think he will need to do, he should do it.